Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Wrestler Weekly Presents. I'm your host, Scottie Richardson. It is season 3. Can you believe it? This is where you would hear like the round of applause, you know, if we were sophisticated. But it's all old school. That's what we do at Wrestler Weekly. And so I'm wearing my Father's Day shirt. Lifted up there as Macho Man, but Miles got me this and my wife for Father's Day. And so I thought I'd wear it for our season premiere. This is the opening. And man, I say it all the time, I know, but we've got a great guest today. And someone that I am just honored to, that he agreed to do this. And so let's pay some bills and then we'll get right to it with our trusty tripod. We need a name for the tripod. Maybe we should do a poll. Let's do a poll. I'll get with Mike. I'll talk to Reggie. Let's do a poll and we'll name the tripod. Also going to give away a few things I know tonight, and then we'll go ahead and talk about that later in the show. But man, look at this. I have got a stack of wrestling mags. I've got my tripod, and I'm about to call our guest for this season premiere of Wrestler Weekly Presents here on YouTube. You can also find Wrestler Weekly on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And Mike Leotis, Reggie Richardson, and myself, Scottie Richardson, are the guys, the three amigos, the six-man tag champs of Wrestler Weekly. And so if you want to buy t-shirts, prowrestlingtees.com/Wrestler Weekly, or is it a /? Who knows? Just type in Wrestler Weekly. Also, check out Family, Bacon, Wrestling. We'll talk a little bit more about the book. The book is doing great. You can find that on Amazon. But without further ado, drum roll please. I'm about to call the first guest of this season, season 3. Here we go.
Hello, Bill Apter.
Bill Apter, this is Scottie Richardson, and you are on Wrestler Weekly. How you doing, buddy?
Scottie Richardson from Wrestler Weekly, one of my favorite places.
Man, what an honor it is to have you on our show, and really appreciate it. And this is the season premiere. This is season 3, the first episode, Bill. So you get that honor.
Well, why did you wait so long? Where was that for season 1?
You know, I don't know. Your agent, you're negotiating with your agent and all that. You know how it goes, Bill.
I know.
But you're here now, and that's what matters.
Well, I just want to let you know what a fan I am of Wrestler Weekly. You help keep the golden days of the magazines, the best times of my career, alive. And I look forward all the time to following you on Twitter and seeing everything that you do. I
appreciate it, Bill. One of the things, we're going to jump right in, one of the things that I know that has been a joy for me, and it's just a little funny thing for our fans, is when I reached out to Bill, he said, I'll be on your show if you've read my book. I said, well, Bill, I've read it twice. And so, so we got to have you back.
Wait, does that mean you're going to ask every question 2 times?
Maybe so. Or I think, you know what we should do, Bill? We should have you back for the season finale. Let you book,
I would love that.
Book in this thing.
Let me tell you why I put that asterisk on when people interview me.
Sure.
The first few years after my book had come out, people were asking me questions that were almost like public, about me introducing Andy Kaufman to Jerry Lawler, why I left the magazines, etc. And for an interviewer to not know some things about his subject, so to say, it's just not, since I'm an interviewer, it's just not right. Look at something. And that, most of my career with the magazines and before that and beyond that are all covered in my book. By the way, before we go on, I have a question to ask you.
Sure.
Is wrestling fixed?
I didn't know it was broken.
Okay, you got it.
You know what's great about your book, Bill, and I did the audio version because I wanted to hear you actually telling the stories, which I thought was fascinating. But being a guy like me who grew up on the Mags and was so influenced by them, and again, I'll plug myself, Bill. If you can read that story in Family Bacon Wrestling, that's now on Amazon. But I tell you, when I was listening to your book as you were presenting it, I felt like that I was in the next desk over. You had you said that boxing was on one aisle and wrestling on the other, and to be a kid and to remember the Mags and to read the Mags and just so influential because again, we didn't have cable, there was no internet. We're talking late 70s, and that's how. I grew up in the Mid-Atlantic area, and then in 1981 we moved to the Florida area in Jacksonville. So to learn and read about what was happening in WWF or read what was happening in the Midwest. That was, we hung on, my brother and I, we hung on every word that you wrote and all the photos that you took, Bill.
Well, thank you. I worked with so many great teams. People always thought that I owned the magazines, and I never did. But I was the face of the magazines out on the field, and I brought back, I was the liaison between the magazines and the wrestling business, and it just kind of happened that way. It was nothing that was planned out. It just, thank goodness that the athletes in the business and the promoting people, business people, took a liking to me because I knew how to, what to say when and what not to say when. And back then, the wrestling business was a very closed society, and very few people outside of the people in the business were allowed in. And I, along with George Napolitano, Frank Amato, and Paul Heyman, were some of the lucky ones who were able to get in and become part of the family.
Now, one of the things that's interesting when you go back and watch footage is not only is the matches are just fantastic back in the day, talking old school classic wrestling, but the jockeying for position. I know I talked to George about this, and it's funny, I like watching you and George just jockey for position around the ring. That's fun in itself.
Watch out for Paul Heyman's elbows.
That's right.
His elbows were like Abdullah the Butcher, sharp as a knife.
That's great. Now, before I've showed my fans earlier, I've got a absolute stack of mags here, Bill, and I just want to. I'm going to throw some up. I'm going to, kind of trigger your memory. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
In case there's any, let me stop you for 1 second. In case there are any millennials listening, mags are magazines.
That's right.
And those are things you can still find in some bookstores and supermarkets in the stationery section.
Absolutely. Thank you for that disclaimer, because we certainly need it nowadays.
We do.
One of the first mags that really caught most people's attention, and this is the repop version. I was actually able to get the original signed by Dusty Rhodes, and my brother has it on his wall in Jacksonville, Florida, also signed by Mil Mascaras. Bill, talk about the first PWI and just how trailblazing that was back then.
Well, we wanted, we were doing The Wrestler, Inside Wrestling, and a lot of other magazines. And we wanted to put out a magazine that kind of looked different than all the other magazines. We wanted it to have like a Sports Illustrated feel to it, to include a nice poster in it, even though Sports Illustrated doesn't do that, and make it a classy magazine. Some of our other magazines back then were very sensationalism based, but PWI, we tried to not go as sensationalism based as those were. We tried to do stories a little more on the non-sensational side. So the first cover, we were sitting around the office, and I said to the editorial board, I'm going to a show at the Westchester County Center in White Plains on New York on Wednesday night, and Dusty Rhodes and Bill Apter are teaming there. And boy, that'd be a hell of a cover if you get the cover shot of the two of them pose.
Yeah.
So, and as you know, this is in my book, in the audio version and in the printed version, is that was a night of, oh my gods, because I'd go to Dusty's dressing room. They had a big stage at the Westchester County Center where wrestlers would just kind of come and watch the show that was down below. And a lot of the wrestlers would hang out there. So Dusty would be on the left side of the stage, and I'd say, can I take you over to Bill Apter and get a picture? And really, if you want a picture of Bill Apter and the Meccan Dream, you bring Apter to me. I said, okay, don't think that'll be a problem. I'm friends with both of you. So I go to Bill Apter, and I said, I want to get a shot of you and Dusty for the cover.
Sure.
Would you mind coming over to where you, well, no, you tell Dusty he come over here, I take the picture. So now I'm stuck.
Absolutely.
So pardon me, it's allergy season here. So now, what I got to do? I got to get this shot, and I know I can get it in the ring, but it's not going to be that sharp quality it would be up close.
Right.
So about 5 minutes before they came out for their match onto the stage, they got together. I said, oh, let me take the picture and all this. So then we started arguing about who's going to go down on one knee and who's going to stand up. So finally, Apter agreed to do the down on one knee. Dusty there, pop, 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 3 shots taken. That was it. I had a good night. Now all I had to do was, remember there was no digital photos back then.
Right.
So I had to wait until those pictures, I had to wait almost a week till they came back from the lab to make sure that it worked out. Because if one was, it was too light or too dark, Mr. Weston, the boss, would throw it in the garbage can. This is not good. We can't use it. So, yeah. So that was it. That became the premier issue cover, and it was not. I didn't use any studio lights or anything. It was flash on camera. It came off looking like a studio shot.
You know what's great, Bill, in your book, you talk about Dusty's reaction, and for us fans to go back and look at this mag, and the fans are looking at it now, and you know, he does not necessarily have a smile on his face.
No, he wasn't too happy. And you couldn't tell if Mill was smiling. Right. He always looks the same.
Now, one of the things that I know that
through the years, let me just say,
go ahead.
Through the years, both Bill Apter and Dusty Rhodes were always cooperative with me.
Great.
They'd stand and post for photos. They do interviews for me. They were wonderful.
Now, one of the things that I talked to Harry Burkett, who's with PWI now. I'm sure you know Harry.
Yes.
He talked about, you know, I was talking about Dusty Rhodes on the cover when he had the NWA World's Heavyweight title. And I'm showing one now, Wrestling Annual 1980, spring of 80. Dusty's got his arms spread out. He's got the NWA 10 pounds of gold around his waist. And Harry was saying just how rare, because, you know, Dusty didn't have the title long, you know, talking about then. And so to be able to have that picture and that photo and then on the cover made the mag just that much more special. Yeah, he was
Dusty. As I mentioned, Dusty sold magazines when you put them on the cover.
Oh, yeah.
The numbers of the magazines did well. And I toured a lot for the few days that he was champion. I was down in Florida just about that whole week, that whole time. And I did tons of poses on him, and he was always willing to do it. Yeah.
Now,
I remember that shot very well.
Good.
Very well.
Now, this may be one of my favorite mags. I know as a kid when I would pull out the magnifying glass and look at the back issues of what you could get, you know.
I love doing that too. I really did.
This is a mag that always had the sold out banner on it. And so my brother and I would always try to figure out, well, what mag is that? And with the invention of the internet.
Wait, you know what it was? That was where the fans got the "You Sold Out" chant from.
Yes, fantastic.
There you go. Anyway,
there you go. And so with the invention of the internet and eBay, in the early on, late 90s, early 2000s, I was able to snag this mag. It's Ric Flair on the cover, Bill. Best of the Wrestler, November of '79, with the red leather U.S. title from the Mid-Atlantic area. And really, Ric Flair's first cover with a belt.
Ric Flair was one of the greatest performers in history. However, his only shortcoming was when I'd want to pose him in the dressing room area or backstage, he'd say, "Sir, I'll be right out." And he'd never come out. He'd come out 2 seconds before his match. Hey, let's just take it in the ring. He did not like standing for poses like a lot of the other guys did.
Now, speaking of two of those, we're going to show the fans here in a second, but one mag, it's a PWI. It's Ric Flair's first NWA World's title. He defeats Dusty Rhodes. And Bill, he's on the cover of PWI, standing in the ring, the crimson mask of the bloody face and head. He's holding the 10 pounds of gold. And this is one of the, to me as a collector, this is one of the most rare mags when you talk about fandom and being able to get Ric Flair's first title.
When he beat Harley in the cage?
No, this was the one when so September of '81, he defeats Dusty Rhodes and World's Champion. Now it's February of '82, PWI issue.
Yes.
There are two here that you did get Ric Flair for poses. One is a PWI April of '84. He's in a nice tan suit, three-piece suit. He's holding the 10 pounds of gold.
He's got a bandage. He's got a bandage on his head.
Yes.
Now, you know, the classic story about that cover is years later when Shawn Michaels wanted to be a wrestler, he took that same shot of himself.
Wow.
And we had a copy of that at PWI when he was a young kid wanting to be a wrestler. I shot that. I took that photo in a portable studio, and I believe it was in Charlotte, North Carolina. And to this day, people beside you as well still talk to me about that cover.
Yeah, it's one of the most iconic covers. You know, showcasing the belt. You know, I was always a guy that loved the belt on the cover, and so
I can tell.
Now here's one with Ric Flair holding a trophy. If you remember this, this is April of 1990. This is PWI Wrestler of the Decade. He's got the big trophy.
I presented that to him on at one of the pay-per-views on WTBS. Not pay-per-view, on one of the I think it was Clash of Champions specials on WTBS. I presented that to him on Nationwide TV.
Fantastic. Now here's one. We're going to stay in the lane here.
Keep in mind,
yes.
Keep in mind, since you heard my whole book, and
sure.
Hopefully people will get the audio book or the regular book, is that I did a lot more photos than I ever did anything in terms of writing.
Right.
Because I was always at the big events.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now one of the things, now this is a great one. It's a rare one because it's Kerry Von Erich on the cover with the NWA title, September of '84. This one's coming from The Wrestler, and it looks like a shot in the ring, and he had just defeated Ric Flair. Does that bring back any memories, Bill? You know, he's got.
I took that cover. That was at the Parade of Champions. That was in honor of David Von Erich, and it was a very emotional show. People were still so emotionally cheerful about the death of David Von Erich. And this put the cap on honoring him, and I was lucky enough to be able to be close enough to the Von Erich family to get that photo.
That's perfect.
Kerry, all the Von Erich boys, especially Kerry, Kevin, and David, I became very, they always used to say I'm one of the Von Erichs.
That's fantastic.
Really honoring to me, yeah.
Absolutely.
Kevin still says it.
Yeah, Kevin is a great, just an unbelievable guy. He's good to his fans and to all of us. You know, we appreciate him and the support he gives us all for sure. Now, I'm going to transition here. Bill, there was an event, and on the cover of May 78 of Sports Review Wrestling, it said the most important match of our time. I'm actually halfway through writing a book on this event. And Superstar Billy Graham is the WWF champion. This match took place in January of 78 in Miami in the Orange Bowl. He took on NWA champion Harley Race, belt for belt. Do you remember these iconic covers?
Oh, not just the covers. I remember that.
The event.
I remember that event. That was to be at ringside and shooting something like that with the world watching WWF against National Wrestling Alliance. I mean, it was like a Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of rain that night.
I remember the cover, and I took the photo that I photographed that image. You know, it's funny when you're talking about this. I'm saying to myself, my God, I took a lot of iconic images in my life.
Oh, yes, you did, Bill. And it's my job to make sure that the public knows it.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. And now
you're now my iconic image maven.
That's right. Now here's a mag, Bill, that you once told me at an event, and you're not going to remember this because you meet so many people, but I remember it, and I got to know, and I got to spend 6 months last year working with Tommy Wildfire Rich and helping him get his school started and doing a lot of promotion for Tommy.
Wait a minute. Hey, somebody called Bill Apter. When are you going to put me on the cover of that rag that you write for? That's right. That's what he always said.
Now, you told me once that this cover sold out tremendously and was one of the most popular covers ever when he did the heel turn.
Go to hell.
Absolutely.
Fans can go to hell. Yeah. Tommy never thought we would get a reaction like that, and neither did I. That cover made him such a heel because again there was no internet back then, and you know Gordon solely showed that on TV, and they played with that cover, and it was a very tight face shot of him, and that was a great cover. And he and I just saw him and did an interview that's on OneWrestlingVideo.com just a few weeks ago, and we talked about that cover too.
Perfect. Now here's one. Now I was a big Inside Wrestling guy because I love the official ratings, and I'm showing the fans just what that meant in the middle section.
Now, did you know that I did a radio show based on that magazine back in the early 70s? Well, you know from listening to my audio, but I did a show called, it was a 5-minute drive time show called Welcome to Inside Wrestling, brought to you by the magazines for wrestling fans, Inside Wrestling and the Wrestler. I'm your host, Bill Apter, and now here's what's happening, baby.
That's so good. So good. And that was, now this cover is the one that I had sent you a message. Harry and I were talking about this in my last season. This was the cover that you said you took in Houston with Nick Bockwinkel now on one knee and Harley Race behind him, both with their world titles.
Yeah. Now that's also a 2-page spread in the book.
Yes, it is.
In the actual printed book. That was amazing, and I think other than me and George Napolitano, they wouldn't have done it for anybody else.
Right.
Although our local photographer, Buddy Myers, took the photo of me taking the photo of them.
Oh, that's great.
That was, being a wrestling fan my whole life, and I still am, that to me was, look at what I'm shooting.
Right.
You see AWA champion and the NWA champion, and I'm standing there, and they're saying, come on, Bill, what do you want us to do?
That's great.
And I'm controlling the two world champions of two separate companies. It was thrilling. It was absolutely thrilling. And periodically when I talk to Harley, we still reminisce about that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Leland and I are very good friends and just love the family.
Well, I'm one of the few people that Harley Race endorses the imitation of. I do a really convincing Harley race. You be at the broadcast and ask me a question as I'm Harley race.
All right, Harley, you've got a great match coming up with Superstar Billy Graham. Give us your thoughts.
You know, Superstar Billy Graham is a tough character. But you see, he doesn't have the fortitude that the NWA champion. Pretty good?
Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. Our fans all over the world are clapping right now, Bill. Now, here's one you talked about, Harley and Nick. This was Wrestling 1977 yearbook, winter of 77, a look at the 3 world champions and the top contenders. Now you've got a cover with Superstar Billy Graham, Nick Bockwinkel, and Harley Race, all 3 on the cover, all 3 with their world title belts.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much better than that one.
It doesn't, but unfortunately they weren't all in the same place at the same time.
Right.
That would have been great.
Absolutely.
But they get classic cover.
Classic,
Again,
classic cover.
You have the 3 most iconic people at that point in the business, the 3 champions.
Absolutely.
And we had a great people in the art department, beginning with Charlie Sargent to Ken Morgan and so many other people who were able to craft those beautiful covers.
I want to go a couple more, Bill, if you have time, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you have coming up with All In and Andy Kaufman. Tell us real quick. I know that this obviously is in your book, but you're young fan. You're breaking in to working with the magazine and Mr. Weston. And, how influential was it to be at ringside and photograph Bruno Sammartino?
Well, for me, of course, it was a thrill because I was a fan of his, and eventually I became a very dear friend of his. And it was thrilling. It was like it gives me goosebumps just when I hear you say that. Just shooting the matches anywhere in the world is great, but to have photographed Bruno Sammartino in his peak championship years at Madison Square Garden, there was nothing like it.
Fantastic. I know that you wanted to touch on this one. This was PWI March of '84 with the Road Warriors Tag Team of the Year, and they've got the national tag belts on.
Yeah, that's a very weird lit shot. We wanted to make them look like real monsters. We had a red background, and Craig Peters, one of our editors, was with me, and he laid down on the floor with one light, and it would darken the whole room, and that's what I shot.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite covers of all time.
All right, I've got a photo up for our fans. This is the picture, the photograph of you and Andy Kaufman that appears on your book. I've got it blown up in an 8x10 for our fans to see.
Yeah, Andy in the neck brace.
Yes, the neck brace. Any thoughts you want to share for our fans?
Andy always wanted to be Fred Blassie or Buddy Rogers, and I helped him achieve that dream by introducing him to Jerry the King Lawler. I spent a lot of days in the office when the office was very busy, the wrestling office, where I'd get in at 8:30 in the morning, and at 8:32 my phone would ring, and it would be Andy Kaufman wanting to talk about wrestling. And after about an hour, the editor would say, "You got to get him off the phone. We have work to do." He would call every day, and I didn't mind it. He and I became very close friends. And a lot of people talk to me about the movie that Milos Forman did, Man on the Moon. And I love the movie, but the way he got into wrestling was totally inaccurate because it happened in my apartment in Kew Gardens, Queens, with a phone call. And again, if you'd like to hear the story, you can get my audio book, or you can read it in my book, or at StarCast, which will be the convention attached to the Chicago event All In, there will be on Saturday morning of that Labor Day weekend, Jerry the King Lawler, me, and Dutch Mantel, and possibly one or two other people doing a panel discussion remembering Andy Kaufman. And I do believe that will be aired live on Fight TV as well.
Yes, correct. Bill, thanks so much for joining me on our season premiere of Wrestler Weekly Presents. And again, I speak for all of the fans across the world and how much you have influenced us as fans and through the mags and through your writing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bill.
And I do want to just say that
sure.
I will be in Awesome Wrestling Entertainment on October 20th for the Night of the Icon, Sting. And then I'm booked in England for kayfabe events on the Scott Hall tour for several days.
Great.
So please visit, and people can find me at Apter1Wrestling on Twitter or on Facebook.
All right. Thanks a lot, Bill.
All right, nothing left to say, Scotty, except I'll see you at the matches.
That's right. Awesome. Thanks so much, Bill.
My pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye. Fans, unbelievable. Can you believe Bill Apter here on Wrestler Weekly Presents? And yeah, it took a couple seasons to get him on, but wow. I mean, that was like, and I know we were going pretty fast, spitballing, but man, that was like having him in the living room and me just going through mags. I mean, we do that already without the guy who took the photos. So I'm just, I'm pinching myself now for the fact that just got to have a conversation with Bill Apter. And again, thank you for supporting Wrestler Weekly. If you want to support us even more, you can find my book, Family Bacon Wrestling, on Amazon. You can also find t-shirts that are themed Family Bacon Wrestling and Wrestler Weekly logos at ProWrestlingTees.com/Wrestler Weekly. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Hopefully you are enjoying the new format of Wrestler Weekly. Reggie, Mike, and I say, until next time, fans, so long.